All right, guys. So today's lab is actually special. We're going to be focusing on backups. Backups are really important as they play a core role in the NIST Incident and Response Lifecycle Stage 3 recovery. Backups can help you hedge against accidental deletions, accidental overwrites, system failures, network failures, natural disasters, cybersecurity threats, and so much more. Today we're going to be taking a look at AWS backups in particular. I do have the white paper here if you want to learn more about AWS backups. AWS Backup supports encryption in rest and encryption in flight with KMS, which is the Key Management Service. It also supports fine-grained access controls with the resource policy. So if you want your admin to be able to read, write, delete, but maybe you only want your technical users to be able to read, you can implement those permissions. It also supports vote lock policies, which will allow you to implement the write once, read many schema. This means that even you, the creator of the policy, will not be able to delete or modify that backup once you add it in the vault. It's also immutable, right? It also supports cross account and cross region backups. It supports tagging and so much more. Today, we're going to take a look at three of these features. We're going to go over vaults, and then we're going to do on demand, and then we're going to finish with tagging policies. So I'm currently in the AWS Lab account, and I'm already in my AWS Backup dashboard. On the left-hand panel, you want to scroll down to where you see vaults, and then create new vault. For the vault name, you can name it whatever you want. I do have my name handy here, but you can put whatever you want. I'm going to use the default AWS Lab name. And then you scroll down for encryption key. I don't have any KMS customer managed key, so I'm going to use the AWS default. And you can also add key material if you have that. And then I'm going to hit create vault. And just that quickly, I just made an immutable vault where I can add my resources like my RDS database or my Aurora database or my DynamoDB database into this vault lock policy, right, for added security. So our next exercise is going to be some on-demand labs. We're going to be creating some EC2 instances. We're going to do EFS, and we're also going to do RDS. So on the left-hand side, let's go to protected resources and create on-demand backups. So on-demand backups are also useful if you're getting ready to do something risky. Let's say you're about to implement an update, or you definitely want to make sure you have a known clean backup before you deploy that software update, right? Or if you have some sort of compliance requirement, let's say you have some sort of HIPAA requirement that says you have to create a backup at noon p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but you have your automated backups scheduled for every 2 hours, then on-demand backups will come into play. And so we're going to do 3 different on-demand backups. We'll start with EC2. So in the resource, just select EC2 and then select your instance ID. And then if you scroll to the middle, it'll show you your retention period. Automated backups will only keep for a max of 35 days. So you can select any day that's 35 days or lower. And then you can add in a default IAM role, or you can use the AWS IAM roles, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the workshop IAM role for this particular lab, and then create on-demand backup. Right, and as you see, I have a couple other resources already here. And we're going to do the same thing for EFS. So on the left-hand side, go to protected resources, create on-demand, and the same exact steps. EFS, select the file name. And this is just your network file share. So if you need a solution to connect all of your EC2s, let's say you have hundreds of EC2s and you need them to access resources or access files, then you're going to use the EFS file share. And then I'm going to use the same IAM role. workshop, and then hit create. And then we're going to do one more, protected resources, create on demand. And this is going to be RDS, which is the relational SQL database. This is for when you have transactional data, or maybe you need to store sensitive data. You're going to put it in a database. And I'm going to put my retention days to 3 so they're all consistent, and the same IAM role. And we know IAM roles grant temporary access and follow least privilege. Least privilege says grant only access that's needed for them to complete their job. So you want to avoid IAM users creating new users. Instead, you want to use IAM roles. And so just that simply, we created 3 different on-demand backups in case we're about to do something risky to our EFS. And so our third lab for today will be the backup plan. And so on the left-hand side of your AWS Backups, scroll down to where you see backup plans, and we're going to create a backup plan from scratch. They do support automated or pre-made templates. Let's say you're doing, weekly or monthly backups, you can go ahead and select one of the pre-made. But if you need more fine-grained control, or if you want backups for, on the hour, every hour, or something a little more frequently, then you're going to have to create your own backup plan. And your backup plans will allow you to select your retention period, your deletion time, and your schedule. And so you select a backup name, and then you're going to scroll down and select the rule name, and you will use your backup plans to automate the transition of your backups to cold storage for cost savings. Let's say you're not using your backups that much and you want to save some money, then you can transition them to your cold storage. You'll use it to auto delete. You can use it for a lot of different things. And so in the middle, it's going to say start time, and this is just saying how soon do you want your backups to start. So I'm going to do about 5 minutes from now. And then start within, I'm going to make sure it starts within 1 hour. This is just saying, how soon do you want it to start? And then how soon do you want it to be completed? As soon as possible. So the soonest time they have is 2 hours. And it does support point-in-time recovery. Even though AWS Backups supports point-in-time recovery, your resource may not. I know DynamoDB supports point-in-time recovery, so make sure you're aware of that. And this is the cold storage that you'll select if you know you're not going to be using your backups that frequently or accessing them that frequently for more cost savings. I'm going to select 3 days for retention period so that it's consistent, and you have the option to add tags. And then I'm going to go ahead and create this plan. And then now I'm going to add some tags. What do I want to do? Let's say backup. So I'm going to call it, this is an hourly backup plan. And let's say equals hourly. Okay. And then hit assign. Oh, wait, hold on. Did I pick my name? Okay, let me grab my resource assignment name, which is going to be an hourly assignment. Okay, and so now assign resource. Okay, let's take a look. Let me pull up EC2. And let's go to instances to see the instance that's running. And let's check the tags on here. And I'm going to go on the right-hand side and hit manage tag. So I have an EC2, which we know has a root EBS volume, which is the block volume on the EC2 instances. And I'm going to add that tag that I just created. Manage tag, add new tag, and it's going to be backup hourly. And then hit save. It says requested manage tag was successful. Okay, I'm just going to scroll down to confirm that it is in there. And then, yeah, so we have our backup hourly. So let's go back to AWS Backups. And that is pretty much it. So we did 3 labs today. We created our vault. We also did our on-demand backups, and we did our AWS backup plan and added the tags. I'm going to add the link to this lab below for anyone who wants to get some hands-on experience and get more familiar with AWS backups. If you wanted to read more, if you prefer to read and learn instead of kind of knocking around inside the actual account, you can also read the backup plan white paper, which I'll also link below. So the lab and the white paper will be below this video for anyone who wants to get more familiar.